Hi, it's Blake from Blake's Weird World. Sorry I haven't posted in a while. It's just I've been really busy and like a lot of other stuff. But I am currently back at the moment. So hi, my name's Blake if you haven't met me before. This is my dumb channel on YouTube that probably no one cares about. So basically, why I'm here today is because what popped into my brain, I went to the pet store today and I study small animal science, and I just thought, and I saw ferrets today, and I saw there was stuff, they were being mistreated. Their stuff that they had in their enclosure wasn't all the way appropriate. It was somewhat appropriate, but there's just a bunch of things wrong with it, and I thought, oh well, for beginners, why not I just kind of make a beginner's guide. So here is your beginner's sorry, I'm like really tired. My bad. So basically this is your beginner's guide to ferrets. So let's get started. Alright, so basically the first thing we're going to talk about, and I think a lot of people misunderstood, is I think the first thing we're going to talk about is ferret diet. Now, if you haven't and already know, so most people feed ferrets raw diet, which is basically just bones and like meat that's raw. Like you have lamb, you have beef, you have pork, all that type of stuff. Please, if you feed raw, please do not give your ferrets like, well, I guess I shouldn't say that. You can give them meat from like a grocery store that's like raw, but I wouldn't suggest giving it to them all the way because that can be unhealthy sometimes. But if you cannot feed raw, there's a kibble diet. Now, most people get kibble wrong, which is very sad. So basically the kinds of kibble that I recommend is I recommend Wise Song, and I don't recommend it fully because it's still a little on the off side. But the kibble I do recommend, this isn't technically kibble. I recommend Ziwi Peak because their food is air dried, and it just has all the nutrients that ferrets need for their diet. But if you do feed kibble, I really recommend to moisten it because ferrets, I think, I don't know this for sure, but this may damage their teeth if they have kibble a lot. But I think to moisten it, I think you probably use like a bone broth. Bone broth is probably the best. If you can't use bone broth, then use water. Please do not use like soups, like maybe duck soup would be okay, but I don't fully recommend it. I recommend bone broth. But yeah, I think bone broth is like the best for ferrets. Sometimes you can give it to them for treats, but not really. It's kind of just like a liquid supplement that people put if ferrets need to take medicine or to moisten ferret kibble. So yeah, that's basically what you need for ferret diet. Next, we're going to talk about a really important subject. Next, we're going to talk about, let's talk about enrichment. So ferrets are very curious, mischievous. They like to explore new places. They are very curious animals. And so basically, you want to make sure that they have a lot to play with. So basically, like, I recommend a ball pit. I recommend a dig box or a rice box. I recommend probably tunnels at the most because tunnels are very, in the wild, ferrets like to dig underground, so it's kind of like represents them digging underground. They're just not, it's just like tunnels represent that. So in most pet stores, the pet stores market this huge ferret company called Marshall's. And if you don't know what Marshall's is a ferret breeding company. I wouldn't support Marshall's though, because they are known for massively reproducing their ferrets. And basically what that means is that half of them are used for animal testing and half of them are used for, or half of them are shipped off to pet stores. Now, the reason why we don't want to support them is because every time you buy a ferret from a pet store, you're basically opening up a spot for another ferret from Marshall's to be shipped there. And the reason why I would personally adopt, I think adopting is the best. I know sometimes it's hard to find a ferret adoption center near you. I live in Minnesota, so I currently do have some adoption resources for ferrets, but I know that's not the case for everyone. So if you cannot adopt, the next solution I would go to is a breeder, but I would still not recommend a breeder, even though that ferrets from breeders are known for living up to like 10 to 14 years, which I think is really crazy. I don't know what the difference is like from adopting ferrets or ferrets from pet stores, but I recommend adopting fully. And I do not recommend pet stores, because the reason why you should not adopt a ferret from a pet store is because basically they could have diseases like ear mites and adrenal disease, and sometimes they can gather an intestinal blockage. They could have the flu too as well. And it's just very risky if you do not have any choice but to adopt from like a Petco or any other pet store resource that has ferrets of Marshall. Please, I recommend, please schedule a vet appointment for your ferret, and that's the next topic we're going to talk about. If you do not have a vet that treats exotic animals near you, because ferrets are ferrets are in the category exotic animals. Ferrets are not rodents. Let's not go there. They're not compared to rats. They're ferrets. You should treat ferrets more like a cat or a dog. But anyways, as I was saying, if you do not have a vet that treats ferrets around you or exotic animals in general, the ferret might not be the best pet for you, because you're basically saying to yourself, do I want to put my ferrets in some sort of trouble if they have like adrenal disease or an absolute emergency? So if you do not have an exotic vet, or / if you have a vet that treats ferrets, because it's very difficult, like, trust me, like, I had to call 5 different places, and I got lucky once. And the 2 places that did do ferrets were not accepting new clients because, well, right now, since COVID to now, where I live, there's a lot of vets in my area are not accepting new clients because their schedules are very booked and they can't take any more people. So that's I guess a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. But if you do not have a vet that treats ferrets, please reconsider getting a ferret. The next thing we're going to talk about is, let's see. We went through enrichment. We have diet. Let's talk about ferrets introducing. So, for example, if you have a ferret already and you're bringing home a new ferret for them to meet, and if you're bringing a new ferret home for them to meet, what I would recommend is a quarantine time set and date. So basically what a quarantine is you're going to have your ferret and you're going to have the ferret in the same area as your other ferret, kind of just in the in the proximity of your ferret so they can see each other, smell each other. After, I would say, 4 days of that quarantine happening, I would switch some of your ferrets' blankets and hammocks and beds so they can just gather that scent of the other ferret. And after a week, I would recommend putting them together, but only supervised just to see what would happen. There is a rule. So ferrets love to roughhouse, and that's just the nature of how they play. But the rule is no pee, no poop, no blood. So if there's no pee, poop, or blood, you should be fine. But if there is pee, poop, or blood, please remove your ferret immediately and reconsider. I wouldn't say rehoming. I shouldn't have said that. Don't rehome. That's not a big, don't rehome or give your ferret up for adoption just because they aren't responding well. It could take some more time, but if you see pee, poop, or blood, please separate your ferret at once and maybe quarantine a little bit more, because sometimes ferrets aren't fully ready. Like, ferrets can take a while. Some ferrets might love each other right away, and some ferrets might take 3 months to a year. It really depends on the personality of the ferrets. So that's basically interactions. This is a big one. Let's talk about some things not to get, So what I would recommend, I'm gonna give you these products. I would recommend probably every single Marshall product not usable for ferrets, except maybe a bed. What I don't recommend the most is ferret premium food. This is very unhealthy for the ferrets. This is not giving them enough nutrients. So I beg you, please, please, when adopting a ferret, please do not buy this food. If you cannot get a food right away, because I know that's the case with some people, please consider a nutritional cat or dog food. I'm sorry. Please consider a dog or a cat food. Please do not, when you're looking for a dog or cat food, no commercial pet foods like Blue Wilderness, Marshall, none of the ones that you would typically find in a store. I know there's like, Zoo Premium is for ferrets. Please don't feed Zoo Premium. Please do not feed Marshall Premium. And don't feed, I think it's called, something nature. I'll put a picture, but it's something nature. Don't feed those because those are very unhealthy and they contain fruit and vegetables. Ferrets are obligate carnivores, which means that their body structures and their bone structures are meant to digest a carnivore's diet, and their body is not meant for fruit and vegetables. I will put pictures to compare a herbivore diet and a carnivore diet. So basically they're two different things. So yeah, that's basically for that. Let's talk about baths. So I know that Marshall has some ferret shampoos and conditioners. Those contain products that dry out the skin, and this just goes for any animal shampoo. Please do not use shampoo or conditioner on your ferrets because it will dry out their skin. And basically what it will do, it will take away their body oils, and ferrets need those oils for their skin to stay hydrated. What I recommend for a bath is I recommend an oat bath, and basically what an oat bath is you're going to take a long sock like yours, and you're going to fill it up with unsweetened oats, and you're going to throw it in your bathtub, and basically what it will do is it will make the water cloudy, and oats contain nutrients that are good and healthy for ferret skin, and your ferrets will like the cloudy water because, I don't know, I can't answer that question. I think ferrets just probably like it, I guess. But yeah, that's if you take a bath or if you give your ferrets a bath, I recommend that. Let's talk about nails. So nails are a very important part um, of a ferret's healthy life. So basically, I recommend clipping your ferret's nails every other week because they grow very fast. Trust me, I've seen them. And what you want to do is you're going to want to clip your ferret's nails because when they get too long, if they scratch their ears sometimes they cut their ears because their nails are too long, and that can lead to bleeding, which is not good for anyone, like not even humans. Like no one likes to bleed. So yeah, I recommend cutting your ferret's nails every 1 to 2 weeks. And so basically that's for nails. Let's talk about this is a very big one that I see people and pet stores mess up a lot. Litter training / litter boxes. So, and when I go to pet stores like Petco, we have one that is owned by someone that lives in Minnesota, located in Mankato, called Pet Expo. And basically what they have there is they have corner litter boxes, which I see is very common in a ferret enclosure for most people. Please, I beg you, please do not use a corner litter box, is because, well, usually most corner litter boxes, the ferret is like half in and half out, which is mildly inappropriate. So basically when you get a litter box for your ferret, you're going to want to make sure that the litter box will be able to fit their whole body. That's the rule with litter boxes. If you cannot get like a regular litter box, like I recommend cat litter boxes because those are typically the most used and the best. If you cannot get a cat litter box on any grounds, you can't get one, like you cannot find one, I recommend, or I don't recommend, but if you absolutely cannot get a regular cat litter box, please make sure that your corner litter box is able to fit your ferret's whole body in it, because that is part of litter training. I don't know much about litter training, so I cannot full on tell you litter training. You're gonna have to go watch someone else's video for that because I can't tell you how to do that, like even if I know. Excuse me. So the next thing we're going to talk about is let's talk about bedding. So I typically honestly don't like small animal bedding that they have. And so basically I prefer fleece blankets or sometimes just like regular blankets. I recommend fleece blankets and kind of like soft beds. And when you have, let's talk about cages too. So for the cage, I recommend the Critter Nation or Ferret Nation. The Feisty Ferret cage isn't the best for ferrets, but if you can't get a Ferret Nation or Critter Nation, then get a Feisty Ferret Nation. They kind of all relate to each other. Like Critter Nation and Ferret Nation are by the same company, which is Midwest. So I recommend those two. The Feisty Ferret isn't that best just because of the latches that are on. Please do not by any hands get hamster cages. Please do not get anything marketed by Katie. I'll put a picture above. None of these Katie Skyrise houses, they're just really bad, and their bars are really flimsy, and so a ferret could escape easily. The rule is that your bars should be 1 inch apart, which that's the cause between the Critter Nation and Ferret Nation. So the Ferret Nation is for ferrets, and Ferret Nation is marketed the best cage for ferrets, which I full on agree it is. So please go buy the Critter Nation or Ferret Nation. But the Critter Nation bar spacing is a little bit bigger. They're still technically the same. I think the Critter Nation is a little smaller than the Ferret Nation. So please, please, I recommend get a ferret nation or a critter nation. If you cannot afford any of those cages, because I know these cages can be pricey sometimes, what I recommend is free roaming your ferrets, like a cat or a dog. And I know that can be very difficult for some people. So let's talk about that next, free roaming. So basically, free roaming, you want to ferret proof the space that you want your ferrets to free roam in. So basically get rid of any things that ferrets can chew. Like, I wouldn't say, well, you don't have to get rid of cords. I would just put them in a high place, because ferrets love to chew on things, which is one thing that you'll have to teach them not to do, because that's unhealthy and could cause an intestinal blockage, which is bad. I recommend, if you have, like under your door, like some houses, their doors have like a 1-inch space underneath them, and you can like see like under the door, like it's like a high space. Ferrets will be able to escape that easily. So what I recommend is kind of like these like stick-on door stoppers. I'll put a picture above. I recommend those for doors. What I also recommend is so ferrets love to crawl, especially in beds, and they love to go under, and they like to chew a hole in the box spring and go up in your box spring, and that can be very dangerous for you and the ferret, because like if your ferret's in the if your ferret's in the box spring and you sit down, then you're gonna crush your ferret. And basically what I recommend is you put a sheet the other way under your box spring, then your ferrets will not be able to chew a hole. I think that's a very smart and good idea. I hope you consider doing that. And just pick up anything that a ferret could get into. Ferrets love to stash their toys, and so that means that ferrets, if they steal something, then they'll take it to some place where they like to hide things. If you give them a toy, you can take them. If you give them a toy, they'll just immediately reveal their hiding places. Ferrets are very smart, and ferrets are very dumb. That's why I like them, because they're very funny and curious creatures. This is a really, really hard and common issue that people have with free roaming their ferrets, and I know it's very, very difficult to deal with it. So let's talk about recliners. So ferrets love to climb in recliners, and that is very dangerous because they can get caught in the mechanisms. I have seen and heard of some people that their ferrets have actually died from this issue. I know this can be very hard, and I guess you don't have to do this, but I would recommend doing it. Please, if you have a recliner, just get rid of the recliner completely. You know, that can be kind of a price issue. Like, my dad is all about saving money and stuff like that. So that's a very, very big issue with some people. You don't have to get rid of your recliner. If you cannot get, like, rid of your recliner, like, any means, if you don't want to or if you can't, I would recommend not free roaming your ferret in that place where the recliner is, like your living room or your basement. Or I would just supervise them while they're over there, because ferrets are crazy and they don't listen, sadly. But I mean, neither do humans. That's just human nature. Let's see what's next. What should we talk about next? Let's talk about... What have I not talked about yet about ferrets? Ooh, I forgot to talk about litter. I think this will be our last subject too. So basically, with litter, I recommend a recycled paper litter. So basically, that's not really a big deal. Also, I recommend I don't have ferrets right now. I am seeking at the moment. So basically, with ferrets, I recommend to clean your ferret's cage every morning when you wake up and every night before you go to sleep. Just clean out the litter, because ferrets do not like smelling their own poop. That'll make them go in other corners where you do not want them to go. Trust me, I've seen it happen. So clean your ferret's litter every morning when you wake up and every night before you go to sleep. And clean out your litter box. I recommend every week, probably every week. Just like the litter box completely, just clean it out every week completely. And basically what you're going to use is you're going to want to use a mixture of vinegar and water. So vinegar has 5 to 10% acetic acid, and acetic acid is known for breaking down mold, bacteria, and grease, and it basically breaks down that, but it's not enough to ruin some things like carpet, wood flooring, walls. So I recommend a mixture of that. This house is probably, I wouldn't say eco-friendly vegan all the way, but we try to be eco-friendly because I'm just crazy with animals like that. So this is not a huge deal, and please do not take this please do not like make a big deal out of this, but I would recommend maybe like glass spray bottles and like just like other eco-friendly things. I don't know that much eco-friendly things that I use, but I do use, when you want to clean out your cage, you're going to want to use a toothbrush. Trust me, a toothbrush helps a lot. You're going to want to use the same vinegar mixture water on your cage when you clean it out. And let's talk about cage cleaning. I promise it's the last subject. You're probably getting really bored of me. So basically I recommend to clean your cage probably every month. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to scrub out the whole thing, wash your blankets, use your vinegar mixture water, scrub the bars, just kind of like give everything like a clean vacuum it maybe. This is not needed. You do not need this, but I personally recommend having a mini vacuum with you, like one of those cordless mini handheld vacuums. Those are very, very helpful. And where I currently live, you can buy them for really cheap at a Walmart or a Target. Not Target, don't go to Target. But yeah, I recommend a mini vacuum. I also recommend it has different attachments. That's just, oh my gosh, that's just a time saver and a lifesaver. Trust me, you're going to want to have that on hand. This is not a sponsor or anything. Like, don't hit me up for this type of stuff or whatever, because like, I really don't care. If you want, because I know those cordless vacuums to be kind of expensive, I would recommend going to Temu or whatever, and I know you're going to be like, oh really, we're hearing about this Temu crap again? I know, but Temu has some really good products. I recommend the cordless vacuum from it, because I bought it, and it actually has very great suction. So I recommend Temu Mini Vacuum with attachments. That's the most important part. Okay, so next, oh my gosh, you guys are going to hate me. The final thing, I need to talk about this. I know we already talked about vets, but I want to tell you, vet bills can get very expensive because ferrets can get a disease like that and with a snap of a finger, and emergency vet bills are expensive. So what I would recommend is having an emergency savings. I currently am looking for a job, but I want to probably set up direct deposit so I can split it in half. Sorry, I just got distracted by the movie. So yeah, I would probably recommend doing that. I full on pay for things myself since I'm gonna work. So I know that can be kind of difficult, and one way I'm going to tell you something. If you really want ferrets like me and are going to buy them, my dad is saying no, but my mom is saying maybe. If one way that I recommend to get your parents to say yes, this is how I got my mom to say yes. I have 3 things. The first thing is educate your parents so they know about it. And if your parents, oh my god, I said parents. if your parents use the excuse, ferrets smell disgusting. Ferrets only smell disgusting because people do not clean their litter box and cage correctly. So if those things are cleaned every often, the ferrets will not stink. Ferrets naturally have a musky odor. That is one thing you cannot change about ferrets. And that is the sad part. But please, I beg you, please do not do that. Please don't buy that stuff. And last but not least, the third thing is just let your parents think on it. Don't abuse them with, can I get ferrets? Can I get ferrets? Because that'll make them say no. Just let them think on their own. Let them think if you're responsible enough. That's another way you can show to persuade your parents. You can start chipping in around the house, like doing chores, proving that you're worthy, because those things help. And yeah, I think that's basically the end of the video. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel so you can see my weird face in videos every so often. I don't post all the time, but it'd be really appreciated. Like this video and comment what is your favorite animal. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye!